Sullivan Regional Medical Center presents WildAir.
So what we did this year is been the Ducks Unlimited out here in the Uinta Basin, the WildAir chapter. We've been working with the DWR on helping band and do some wildlife projects, wood duck boxes out here. And so we've been collaborating with the DWR this year and previous years as well for the youth waterfowl hunt. But this year in particular, they asked if the Ducks Unlimited could take out some of the youth if they didn't have a mentor or take someone out to hunt for today. Particularly those individuals that either fathers don't hunt or that don't have the opportunity or the equipment to do so. And so I've been doing the youth hunt for just over 7 years now, and I enjoy taking the kids out, and hopefully want to branch out and do that with my own kids as they grow up. Hey man, this is fun. I enjoy this. I've done this every year. So in this year particular, work with the DWR. We took sign-ups and just happened to chance that we passed this field that we were hunting here along with the other one just behind us that another group is hunting out of with another DWR individual. That just happened to be that we had two fields with ducks and geese in them, and they're both really close. And as hard as it is out here, it seemed pretty easy. We got the permissions from the landowners, and that's one thing that was really fun is these two landowners that gave us the permission out here were really acceptant of the kids and gave us permission. It's been really hard on my own to get permissions out here for hunt, but they were incredibly open and let us have the opportunity to come out here and hunt. And so this is all because the landowners allowed us on. And like I said, there's two fields within a mile of each other, and it would just happen to work out perfect.
It's actually pretty fun. First time I've ever done this. I usually hunt just off the side of a lake, but this first time I've used those blinds. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'd never field duck hunted before, so I thought it was really cool. And then it's just pouring out of the trees into our decoys before it was even shooting time. I thought that was really cool. I got 2 hen mallards and a drake mallard. And the drake's just a juvenile, so it's nothing too exciting, but I got a couple.
4. I shot a whole bunch of other ones, but killed 4.
All my friends that I hunt with, they all chipped in and gave me some of the blinds to use along with what I had. So we had enough blinds for everyone today, which was important, and just enough to get people to hide. So it was a joint effort between Ducks Unlimited, the WildAir chapter, and the DWR here out of the Northeast region.
I do this because I love it, and I've been able to give up most all my other hobbies just to kind of capitalize on this one, and it's something that I find great reward in, and it gives me a 4-month hunting season instead of a 1 or 2 week, and instead of a 1 shot and you're done, this one right here you get 4 geese and 7 ducks in a day, and you can go right back tomorrow and do it. So it's not a one done and done. So that's one thing I like about it is you continue to go out. It's different. It's hard. Every bird is different, and you're decoying them, you're calling them, and it's difficult at times. And that's why it's so rewarding for me. That's why I love it.
Just like this, and then it's like, I got the
Someone, yeah, that one there was one from both angles. Someone from both sides just smoked the duck that was sitting like right here. There's some good shooting out there. Everyone has. You guys have done good. Kids have fun.
It's time for your outdoor adventure.
Been talking to my little brother about putting in for a limited entry elk hunt on the book list for a few years now. He finally put in last year, and he drew. He had enough points that we knew he'd draw, and it was exciting. We spent the summer doing a little bit of scouting. The elk weren't where they'd been during the summer, but it was a fun trip to get out and just go out and explore the book cliffs. It's always a good reason to go exploring the book cliffs and see what's there. The people that were with us, it was kind of an all veterans hunt. My brother's friend Mike Hansen came with us. He was in the National Guard. He actually was injured. My brother is a veteran. He's been in Afghanistan. He served over there, done a lot of combat experience over there. My dad was the Chief of Staff for the Utah National Guard for a long time. He's also a veteran, and then I'm also a veteran from Kuwait and Iraq, and so it was a fun hunt to have the whole group out there together. We had a great time. Dad's 70 now, so it was fun to get him out and be able to spend some time with him on the hills. We hiked around quite a bit. We heard a lot of elk bugle, had a great time with that. The first couple days we mostly hiked and were listening. Couldn't find anything. About the third day, it was starting to get time to really get busy. The next morning came. We had two bulls that sounded really deep and growly, and we really wanted to see those bulls. So we chased and played with them, and we just could never get them to come out. So we came back up, and we'd found a little guzzler up on top, and we'd looked around that. It had been hit pretty hard, so we went over there in the middle of the afternoon just for fun to bugle. And we hiked down from that and started bugling, and we had a bunch of bulls answering. It was in the middle of the day, and so we were excited. So they were on a whole nother set of canyons, so we came back up around, hiked back down to where they were and started bugling again, and we had 3 bulls answering pretty heavy. As we walked down, I was the cameraman, and I started getting more into the hunt because I was also the caller. We walked down the canyon, started calling, and we could see the one bull came out below us, and he was about 200 yards below us in a little canyon. It was a cliff edge where we were at. We didn't know that when we went there, so there's no way to get down to him. He started walking across the bottom and then turned and started bugling at us again. We decided he was in a good place to shoot. So my little brother shot and hit him on the first shot, and then we were busy helping reload and shooting again, and about 4 shots later, the bull wandered up the hill and disappeared in the trees. We decided to give him an hour to rest, and then we're gonna go get him. And as we got closer to where the area was, we found a road that went to within about a half mile, parked at the end of the road and started walking down. And as we're walking down the trail, we weren't very far from the four-wheeler. My little brother said, "Cow call, cow call." And I'm like, "What?" He said, "Cow call." So I cow called, and he turned sideways and looked like he was pointing the gun right at the ground, and he shot. At that time, the elk got up and started running, and we had another muzzleloader for him that was ready, so he traded off, took the other muzzleloader. The bull jumped up and ran, and he shot it, and that was the end of the hunt. But the elk was only feet away from us during that period of time, so it was neat. And I was like, "Why did you ask me to cow call?" And he goes, "Because I wanted it to look at you when I shot it." This is an awesome bull.
What a bull.
Toby got. We're good long shot. The first shot we shot him, or he shot him.
300 yards.
300 yards. We pulled in closer to where we saw him bed, and that was awesome. We moved down the hill. All of a sudden, Toby said, "Cow call."
Missing a bunch of points.
And we looked down, and Toby aimed almost at the ground. I couldn't believe it. The bull was sitting in his bed. He'd been hit pretty good before, and we walked in, finished him off. It was a great hunt, great time with Toby.
Nice hunt. This is elk hunt, muzzle loader 2015, and a very big bull elk.
320 yards with a muzzle loader.
That is true, and that's true yardage.
Ashley Regional Medical Center announces its first trauma designation, Level 4 Trauma. The physicians and staff at Ashley Regional have been working for over a year to complete this designation, which included forming a trauma team that can be called in for any designated trauma event in the emergency department. Several performance improvement projects were also launched and tracked in an effort to improve the trauma services at Ashley Regional. Ashley Regional is proud of this first step into the trauma field and will continue the work to provide great trauma care in the basin.
Have a great first day of school, sweetie. Buckle up.
Good night, honey. Buckle up.
Buckle up. No, okay, I'm gonna tell him.
If you love someone,
Hey, Dad.
tell them to buckle up.
Buckle up.
You're watching WildAir on PTV6.
What they're doing today is transects, a series of transects that they pick randomly on the lake where the target species are spiny rayed fish, the bluegills and largemouth bass. They'll do a similar kind of estimates on waters like starvation, the cottonwood bullock, the waters that have those kinds of fish species in them. There's gillnet surveys that are done on all the trout waters that people are pretty familiar with, seeing them set 200-foot long nets out, pull them back in, the fish get in there, get tangled. Call them gill nets because often the size of the mesh will correspond to the fish getting its head in there and then not being able to back up because of the gill cover. These spiny rayed fish don't move a lot. They're pretty sedentary. They kind of find their little territory and sit. So that's one of the reasons they're not real vulnerable to a net. They just won't get tangled up in it very well. And then the other issue is just the way they're built. With that big head and then the tapering body back, they're just not as vulnerable to the net. So these electrofishing surveys have been one way to kind of get a trend line on what your bass, bluegill, panfish populations are doing. So what they're doing is they're going along and they'll be shocking, putting an AC current into the water as they, an AC current is converted into a special DC current, the direct current that the fish respond to by being attracted to the positive end of the field, which is the booms that come out in front of the boat. So. Any of these surveys where you get to handle fish are valuable too, because you get a chance to look at a snapshot of what the condition of the fish are. You want fish to be in good condition, make sure they have enough food, so you're always kind of trying to balance the food that's in the reservoir in the form of other forage fish or crayfish with what kind of predator population you have. So here's a chance to look at this ratio of weight to length and get a read on condition of the fish. And that's something that, without just looking at a bunch that anglers catch, it's always nice when biologists can get their hands on the fish and get enough of them that they can take a statistical look at the condition. These guys tonight are also going to be taking a little piece of the spinal ray, which they'll take a cross section of and be able to age the fish just like you would age a tree with the rings. Now, these fish will lay down that as they slow in growth in the wintertime, just like a tree doesn't grow in the winter and then has that wider spacing before that next check for the next year. Fish do the same thing, and you can look at the scales, little otolith or ear bone that's in the fish, and these rays have proven to be real effective for catfish, bluegills, bass, any of these rays we call them spiny rayed fish that have the ones you don't like to grab because they stick you in the hand.
So this is what we're happy to see is, thanks Brad, is some of these smaller bass. Different size classes. This is how we know that they're spawning and recruiting, and we can get larger ones in the end.
Especially given some of the challenging water years you've had recently.
So this one's 225, and we do everything in millimeters.
225?
In grams.
Well, that's just...
And 148.
148.
Yep, and the thing that we're doing this year, starting kind of new, is doing age and growth for these bass to see just, I mean, we can kind of get a guesstimate off scales, but we take a dorsal spine and then we take it back to the lab, do a cross section of it, cut it, and then look at it right under the microscope, and it's got basically tree rings is how it grows.
Okay,
so you can look at it under the microscope and that's what you're getting, is tree rings. So Maddie, I'll have you start taking some of those, and I can hold, and Ken, why don't you hold and help Maddie?
Square miles. Rural, rugged, remote. Some may find it unappealing, but we call this place home. Connecting our homes, our farms and fields, our business and industry, our recreation. It's a necessity. We get that farmers, ranchers, rednecks, and even roughnecks need to stay connected too. Our mission is to connect their lives. Our mission is to connect your life. After all, we live, work, and play here too.
Ashley Regional Medical Center announces its first trauma designation, Level 4 Trauma. The physicians and staff at Ashley Regional have been working for over a year to complete this designation, which included forming a trauma team that can be called in for any designated trauma event in the emergency department. Several performance improvement projects were also launched and tracked in an effort to improve the trauma services at Ashley Regional. Ashley Regional is proud of this first step into the trauma field and will continue the work to provide great trauma care in the basin.
You're watching WildAir on PTV6.
I'm Pat Rainbolt with the Utah Division of Wildlife here out of the Vernal office. I work with the Habitat program, and today we're on Diamond Mountain looking at greater sage grouse. It's that time of year when grouse congregate and strut on their leks from about mid-March till late April. You can see them up here on Diamond, just down the road in this open sagebrush country. We're doing these surveys. We do them every year to keep tabs on the sage grouse numbers, and kind of get an idea of the population numbers and the trends throughout the years. So these birds gather on the bare areas in the sagebrush called leks. They strut around and display for the females. The males do their dance and kind of fight each other and establish dominance and get a chance to breed with the hens in the area. So it's a really neat spectacle to see. It's right out your back door in Vernal here, and really cool spot and a really good day today to go see this. Up here on Diamond, you've got a mix of private property and public property, and BLM, SITLA, private grounds. There's some Forest Service just to the northwest of us here, and we do a lot of work with these agencies to help the sage grouse, to improve the habitat, and to help this bird out, to keep it from being listed. And it's a good example of how agencies can cooperate and the opportunities we have to do a lot of good for this animal. And it's for the benefit of everyone. This animal is important. It's important for the people of Utah, and whether you're a birder or a hunter or just someone that likes to take pictures, it's a neat bird and it's worth protecting. And we put a lot of effort into to managing this species, and you can see the results up here when you can just drive up and see these birds strutting around. And yeah, it's just a great opportunity for the people of Vernal and the whole basin to get up on Diamond Mountain and see the country. And not only sage grouse, we've seen some nice songbirds this morning, and some mule deer and other critters running around. So it's a really cool place to spend the morning. A good viewing time for these birds, it's mid-March to late April. If you can get up on the mountain, just look around Diamond Mountain, the bare open spots, you'll see these birds. They've got a huge white patch that kind of stands out in the sagebrush, so you can see where they're congregated, usually from about dawn until about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll see these birds strutting around, and if you get close enough, you can hear the sound they make. So it's good to bring some binoculars, a warm cup of coffee, and some camera, and yeah, bring the family up and then see this spectacle. It's really unique. It's nice.
WildAir from VTV6 Outdoors is presented by Ashley Regional Medical Center.